Thank you very much for the opportunity to join. And look, it is my privilege just to reflect a little, and particularly through the communications we continue to have with Poppy and all the team at Red Cross here in New South Wales. And focusing on this wonderful community-led or community-initiated activity that has transformed into the community-led resilience teams CRT project for the Red Cross. I think it's been a test of resilience in its own right, because as our communication goes with Poppy and all the team, it's been many months now trying to get this launch up and running, but all sorts of other challenges have befallen us, particularly in relation to COVID. But it is great to be able to see, quite rightly, the launch of the program and to see its adoption and utilisation already being experienced in earnest in so many different areas, so many different local communities making a really important difference. And when I look at resilience and I reflect on resilience and what that means for us as a new organisation, and for me personally, as I've gotten around and spoken to a lot of people, we know that resilience is built through lived experience. It's not about bouncing back to normal after a disaster or event, like is often simplistically portrayed. Because why would anyone want to bounce back to normal? What is normal in any case? And why would you want to be just as susceptible or vulnerable to the next challenge or the next disruption? So it really is about learning through lived experiences. It's about growing and developing and being able to adapt and anticipate and ready ourselves for the next challenges in life so that we can do better and get through those circumstances as well. So the criticality behind that is that we've seen a truncating effect, a significant compounding effect of the last couple of years, with a scale and complexity and a reach of challenges and disasters that have impacted communities right across New South Wales and also elsewhere, but speaking through a New South Wales lens, whether it's droughts and bushfires, storms and floods, COVID, more storms and floods, mouse plagues, you name it. We've seen an extraordinary level of impact and disruption to the way we live, to the way local communities live. But what we have seen, so many silver linings through that very difficult and testing regime, is the criticality and the benefits of meaningful and purposeful collaboration. And whether that's governments at the state level, the Commonwealth level, our local council partners, business, industry groups, and of course our not-for-profit and charitable sector coming together with community organisations, local leadership sectors, local representative bodies, and of course our volunteers. We've seen a remarkable commitment to coming together to disarm ourselves with egos, but want to work together to simply do the very best we can to support and assist and enable and empower local communities to rebuild, to repair, to recover, but importantly to heal, given what's been challenging for many. For many, they've experienced multiple and compounding. At the very least, communities have experienced at least one of those remarkable events that have challenged the way we live and operate. But it's through that experience that we see the importance, the fundamental importance, the platform of building on community strengths and the value of volunteers in that local community sector. Despite the record amounts, the unprecedented levels of disaster support and assistance packages in their many billions of dollars alone in New South Wales across bushfires and floods and increasingly now more and more COVID programs are materialising in so many ways. We know the best led anything is that which is locally led and locally prioritised. And no matter how our governance and our policy constructs are formulated and designed, we've got to make sure that we've got the relative flexibility and nuance to accommodate and address the necessarily varying and different needs and priorities of local communities. And that's not just local communities from one distinctly different geographic area to another, but it's local communities, within local government areas that also need to be able to be accommodated in that governance framework, but give us the flexibility and the nuance to allow for that local tailoring and that local need and priority that varies from one location to another. And we know, there's no doubt about it, that the importance of initiatives such as the Red Cross CRT is worthy of recognition and praise. And it was so pleasing to see that the CRT was a joint winner in the 2020 New South Wales Resilience Australia Awards, particularly in the community category. And since its accolades were rightly bestowed and recognised, we've seen the program being adopted in more than 100 different local locations as part of the ongoing local recovery programs, initiatives that are being called out for and sought out by local communities. And getting its genesis up there in northern New South Wales, I think that's something that not only the locals that led and designed the program, as being exampled up here on the screen now, but all those that have been involved in championing and adopting and sponsoring and seeing it through to a model and a pilot that can be adopted and utilised elsewhere. There is no doubt in my mind, and I'm sure we'll get nods everywhere, but the best led anything, the best led planning, the best led response, the best led relief, the best led recovery is that which is locally led, that which is community led. And our roles at all different levels is to make sure we're doing our very best to ensure the right level of facilitation, empowerment, enablement in coordinating and collaborating so that we can see that best led, locally led community effort deliver what really matters and what is really needed. And there's no doubt that the Red Cross CRT goes right to the core of that. And the other aspect that I'm really impressed with, and I applaud everybody for, is that we recognise unequivocally the critical power and the critical underpinning of viable community sustainability and resilience, and that is around volunteers. And as I've said in public forums many times before, I would challenge anyone to have a look in their local community, no matter where you are. Look at the things that work well, and I'm willing to bet you that you'll find it's underpinned by volunteers. And it doesn't matter whether it's in our environmental and bush care services, or indeed whether it's our sporting endeavours or our education pursuits, our community care services, and of course right through to our emergency services and our relief agencies that provide so much support in terms of response, relief and recovery arrangements. And you'll find it's underpinned by volunteers, because volunteers are absolutely, in my view, the critical thread that is often unrecognised, that stitches communities together, that binds communities together, that holds communities together. The capacity to be part of something, to have a sense of purpose and belonging, to be able to make a difference in your local community, knowing that's what your community is looking for and needing. I think absolutely the Red Cross CRT seeks to underpin, leverage, sponsor and grow that sort of critical community-based, volunteer recognised, collaborative effort that's occurring right across communities around our great state and around our great nation. So I want to simply say to Poppy and all the team, and in particular, as we've got up there on the screen, Tammy, Marie and Jasmine, wonderful initiative. Congratulations. You should be very proud, as this examples, simply examples the remarkable commitment and dedication and effort going on all the time. And it's doing it very much in partnership and collaboration with so many others. And it's a wonderful time to celebrate and see this launch finally underway. So thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few brief words and reflect a little on the importance of resilience and how seemingly little programs like this can make a massive difference in the lives of individuals and communities right across our great state.